Welcome everybody out to the first of my host of meet and greet with our Klein ISD board member, Mrs. Denise Morrison. I want to give her a hand for coming out. Rhonda Foster, I am a true advocate in the community. My job is to go and advocate for parents, children, and educators. I became very familiar with this area when I was running for the school board a few years ago. A couple of the things that I heard that were concerning to me is that families on going south of 1960 did not get a lot of engagement with Klein ISD. And so I made the commitment that even if I did not win, I would continue to advocate for families and individuals that wanted to make sure that they were heard. So henceforth, Denise and I were actually running opponents in that election. And of course, neither of us won, but we became great friends because of that. And we share a lot of values. We share a lot of the same beliefs about people. Not people because of race, but people because everyone matters. That's who this is. We want to make sure that want to make sure that students, we want to make sure that the community stakeholders understand that Klein is just not a school district, but it's a family that wants to, with her support, go out and show that your voice really does matter. So this event will be many of a few that I'm going to do throughout the community. But this event was created so we can have safe, open dialogue without anyone feeling that they were going to be retaliated against or that they were going to be kind of ostracized because of it. We want you to share your views and share your values. We want you to share questions, ask questions, and comments as well. They're open, they're not taken personally. Denise has very thick skin and she's here because she wants to hear your voice and she wants to also share with you what her views are and what she's doing for the community. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Denise Morrison. And before I say that, there are some maps here that I can share with the parents and stakeholders if there are any with clients' boundaries as well as schools where there's no substance and where they're located. I'll be happy to share them with each and every one of you for your own reference. But I will turn it over to Denise to start. And yeah, thank you. All right. Well, first I want to say hello. I'm glad everybody made it out. It's a little earlier than I'm used to doing, so it's nice to have sunshine and bright lights. If you don't mind, I'd like to say a short prayer and get started, and then I'm going to speak for just a few minutes, and then it's all about questions and what you want to know. All right? You'll back again, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today and the gorgeous weather we're having. I want to thank you for everyone that has come out. We are all passionate about our children and we want to do the best for them at all times. Thank you for being here with us and give us the opportunity to meet each other, know that we're all playing on the same playing field with you in our court. We appreciate it and we love you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. All right. A little bit about myself to start. My name is Denise Morrison. I've lived in the Klein School District now for almost 30 years. We won't talk about how that ages me, but I've been here quite a while. I have two grown children that attended Klein schools and have graduated, and now they're children. Well, all of them did attend. One moved to Arizona. So now I have one child with children in Klein schools. What prompted me to run? I am a financial analyst by heart, and I did not like that our finances were getting out of control. So that kind of prompted me. And then, of course, as I got engaged and started learning, there was a whole lot more to be concerned about. The finances are still on the top of my list, but I can tell you there's a lot more. And we'll talk about some of those. So, my husband is on the Klein Fire Department Board of Commissioners. So we both kind of jump in with both feet. I don't know, we just have a lot of fun with it most of the time. There are some things that aren't going so well at Klein, so don't be afraid to tell me if you've had issues. And we are making notes so that I can actually take some of those back. So let's talk about the board versus the administration of the schools. The board actually takes care of the policies that we are all have to live by. the board takes care of the tax rate, although the state doesn't help us and isn't very friendly sometimes to that. And we supervise the superintendent. Why is that? Well, Jenny McGowan, is in charge of actually running the school, like the CEO of the company. Her job is to make sure that all 53,000 students have available to them what they need for an education. So, as we talk through these things, I can give you information, but I'm not responsible for all of it. Right? Some of it Jenny does, and it's directed by the policies and all that the board sets out. Okay? All right, so a couple of things. The 89, the Texas legislature was this year, and there was 6,500 bills introduced, and they passed about 600 of those, so about 10%. Kind of a waste of time to introduce them, but that's what it was. Of the 600, there were over 300 related to education in one form or another. So I'll touch on the big ones. The first one is vouchers. I don't know if you all know what that is, but basically, that is a program that will start in 2027 that if you elect your child to go to a private school, church school, whatever it may be, the money will follow that child. The tax dollars will follow. So it will pull away from Klein School District and follow to whatever school you're going to trust. That starts next school year, not this school. Another one passed was the funding bill, and although we did get more money, which is a good thing, it's earmarked for specific things. Teachers that have 3 years or more received additional funding that has to be used for that purpose only. If you have special ed students, there's a little more funding for those. The regular, Denise shows up for school every day person is, we got about $55 more for those. So it wasn't a whole lot. Now, why does that matter? Well, it's all based on attendance. The child shows up every day, but then we have a week that they're and if they're not there that week, we don't get paid for that child. The problem with that is we have to prepare meals, buses, teachers, everything at the school as if everyone attends every day. So because our funding is based on attendance and not on enrollment, we do have some budget. How do you handle those? Well, one way is to cut some programs. We try not to do that. So we have some very good programs, and we don't like touching them, but some of them did get reduced or cut in this last, for this next year. When I ran to become a trustee, we had a $39 million deficit. What that means, the money coming in and the expenses going out, I had $39 million more going out than I had coming in. We were able to handle it because our fund balance actually covers a lot of the deficit. However, good news is for 25-26, 39 million is now 21. So they've done some good work on reducing expenses and looking at where we can actually be more efficient. So that kind of gives you the lay of the land and the legislature and so on. Some other important things is that the 10 Commandments is to be on a poster posted in every classroom. That is being challenged in court, so we will see what happens with cell phones into the classroom. Very important. Realize that's the case because prior it was recommended, now it's law. So the schools will have to enforce it and put it in place. Is there anything else that any of you would want to do? I think that's about it.
How about the vaping?
Vaping?
Vaping.
Yes, vaping is also a problem within the schools. It was an ISS penalty if you were caught vaping. I think they backed off on that a little bit because we had a waiting room. for that. The room wasn't big, large enough, or the not room. ISS was not large enough, and we had enough baby. We had a waiting line to get in. Uh, but it is still not allowed for minors, and that's what's important to understand. Nor side note, this is Denise talking about board, or Steve talking about it's very significant. But all of them, please. The athletics department is not cut. It will continue pretty much like it is. School starts on August 13th. If you need to enroll, since you asked, you do need to go to the actual school your child will attend. Math not out in some of that. But you do register with the school. And then if you have need, meals are provided for your children. So be sure to check into that when you register. Buses are within 2 miles. So if your school is within 2 miles of where you live, a bus will come get your child. If you're less than 2 miles, well, then you're going to have to get your child. That's pretty standard in most districts. So just know there's a 2 miles limit on where the buses are going. And then last but not least, I can tell you that Klein ISD has had some decline in its overall enrollment. When I started a year ago now, we had 54,780 students enrolled. Is that right? Now we have about 53,200. Where are they all going? Well, some moved out, right? Like my son, he moved to Arizona. Some are going to other districts. We have districts that neighbor us, and you can go enroll with those. And some are choosing to go to private schools or homeschool. So there's several charter schools, but we're not losing a whole lot to charter schools. And anything else? I think that's about it as far as what's going on to get school started. I can tell you that education for me and where I stand on what we need is it goes all the way back to our founding fathers. They saw education and public education, that every student should have the ability to learn to write, read, math, and so on. Why was that? Why was that so important to this country? It was important because it's power. If our Constitution is because we are a country that is for the people and by the people, well, the for the people and the by the people have to be educated to know what they're talking about. As part of that, that's why I'm here, fit into this position. That means you that live in Klein hold me accountable for something. I need to be able to hear from you what it is your concerns are. Where do you want the prices to go? Where do you need help? Just help. Sometimes we just need to know things. And I can't know all that for 53,000 students unless I'm out there talking to you. So that's why I'm here. So I'm going to quit talking, but I will answer questions. Anything that can be asked. If you have problems with grievances, I want to know about it. If you have problems with just a teacher, I want to know about it. What are your options with a teacher? Right? If you're not sure where your school is or which school you're in, we can look it up for you and help you find that so that you're ready to register. Any of those things are open to the board right this minute. And I just want to know what it is on your mind. How can I help? What information you want to take back to the administration? Yeah.
My name is Chester Hicks. I ran for school board some years ago. Before the names we got to change.
Yeah.
My name is Chester Hicks. I've been in this district for over 40 years. I had 3 daughters who go from Klein Forest, one of the highs on this side of 1960. So I've seen that area change itself. Like you, I did run for the school board. Some of my concerns is the legislation that some of the people have moved out, but there's as many moved out have moved in.
Yes.
And then it's our district. Our district is the 14th largest district in the state of Texas.
Actually, it's 13.
Pardon me?
Now it's 13. Roughly.
Well, they reported yesterday was 14, 14 district. But my question is we have in our district one of the most respected school boards in this state of Texas. We don't want what Fort Bend had. We definitely don't want to have what Missouri City and all those have. So my question is, when you say our district on this side that you make the statement on this side, we're not getting representation. How many of you have been working with, let's say, Alexander over at Klein Forest? How often do y'all go over there and work with him on this side? I'm on one of the boards as well. I'm on the Education Foundation board. And we spend a tremendous amount of time raising money for the whole district, not just that side, this side as well. My question to you, another one is, what are they actually doing to Greenwood Elementary, Wonderland, and Klein Forest? How's that going to work that these students at Greenwood Elementary, where are they going?
You mean because the school's under
Because
construction?
have y'all seen it?
Well, we walked over there during election time.
Yeah.
I mean, we hit that area heavy. When I say heavy, heavy. And we knocked on doors and a lot of fine members, parents, employees, even ended up knocking on some employees' doors. And they were even saying how no one has ever like knocked on their door with them. They were so thankful and grateful. They're like, oh my gosh, like you came, you took the time to like knock on our door and hear concerns or ask questions. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm just another parent. Of course, I don't live on that side of I'm like, I'm just another parent, advocating or whatever I could do or take information to bring to the board or bring, but
My question,
yeah.
how are they going to implement the school year? Because Greenwood is going to be totally closed
That's
down.
correct. So
So I want you to tell us and educate us on how that procedure is going to as a board now.
right. So what he's speaking to, in 2022, a bond election was held and a $822 million bonds, it's more than one, were passed. Those bonds are the largest portion of them are being used to renovate older school buildings. Right now, Klein Forest has a new gymnasium being built. Greenwood Forest is under full construction, so no children will actually attend those schools. They will be bused to what we're calling the housing school for when they're in construction. Some of the schools, Sprock, Wonderlick, I'm not sure, Hillgrant went through it, where they take one section of the school and start renovating it and have temporary buildings to house those, and then they ship. Right? This opens up, this closes down, and that portion of the classrooms and so on move into these temporary buildings. Elementary schools, to address you directly on that one, those are using these temporary school that was built just to house for the elementary so that we protect the little ones from these people coming in and out and so on into the schools. How's it implemented? There's the district is putting out information directly to those parents on what to expect, where they'll be picked up, where they'll be housed, but giving them the address and so on, and then of course they'll be brought home on buses. Does that help? Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of make a statement or thank you very much. I've been in the district for 25 years. My kids are already graduated, grown and gone. In that 25 years of being in Klein ISD, I just want the audience to know that Denise Morrison is the first one to ever go out and talk to the people that elected her. The first school board member ever. So that speaks volumes, and I really appreciate that, Denise. But I just want y'all to know kind of setting the stage for what we're dealing with here. We really want to get down to the nitty-gritty of it. We have a school board that is elected to represent the constituents, which they do not. They represent the district. Denise is was elected, and she is the one and only lone person that will be the voice of the community, the parents, and the students. So we've got issues in Klein ISD. So we're here to just tell the truth on what we're dealing with, and to ask questions and be open and ask questions that way.
I don't think I need it. I just want to say something. It's like I just learned that. Nikki told me about it. I didn't even know how the board worked or anything. And whenever she told me, like, this is what the board members should do, right? Like, communicate with us so then we can actually ask those questions and get help.
Yes.
So thank you so much for doing this. And thank you so much for doing it in this side of our district, because it's sometimes I feel neglected. I'm actually an employee. And I just want to ask you one thing. You said about asking you questions about a grievance process or something that's not working.
Yeah.
If I share my information with you, how are you going to help me or help parents if they have questions, if they have concerns, or things are not being fair, things like that?
So once again, there is a definitive line between what I can do versus what the Jenny McGowan and her team.
Because you're only one, right?
Yes. Well, not only that, the board has specific duties and the administration has specific duties.
Okay.
We work as a team, right? But there is a line, right? So if you come to me and you say, Isadora, and I'm having a real hard time, and they have switched who I'm teaching, the grade level, the subject, whatever,
Or the school.
or the school or whatever, and you say, this is a burden on me specifically, and I need some help. I'm going to take that information to Jenny
Okay.
and say, look, we need to talk about this because this particular teacher is having some issues where she is.
So you can be a voice
I
for
can be a
not only
voice
the board, but also
That's
the,
correct.
the superintendent.
That's correct.
Awesome.
One other thing that I want to bring out, and I gave down in the paper so she could bring it if so needed, but advocacy is a big piece of being a board member. What is that? Well, part of it is going to Austin and advocating for the schools so we get proper funding and proper treatment, right? Because there's a lot of laws in the education code. How grandchildren are benefiting. However, as good as it is, we have some really bad things we need to handle. And so it's fair to make sure we talk about both and not just one. Right? It's fair, to your point. If you are a teacher in Klein and having trouble and you come to me and say, I need your help, then I'm going to do everything I can to get that help to you
Within your power.
within my powers. That's correct.
So then if you're saying that this is like what the board members should do, but then they are not doing, so how are they hearing the people's voice and needs?
It's a good question. That's the thing is we, as a community or taxpayer or whatever, we vote them out.
They vote them out.
So,
Because they really need to hear us, right?
yes. So her question was, how did the other board members, because you wouldn't hold them up, the other board members, how did the other board members hear concerns from the community? If they've never,
I'm not throwing stones, I'm just doing.
No, I'm asking that question.
It's through public comment. But this is a great forum, and that's why hosting these type of events to allow parents who can't make the board meetings because it's too far away or that are reluctant because of retaliation. This is a great, comfortable forum to share concerns and to have your voice. And then also for you to take this information back to your colleagues or to other parents to share that we do have an active board member that's coming out into the community and talking, encouraging them to make way to the board meetings. Because if you don't go to the board meetings and share your concerns, then your voice won't be totally heard. And but Denise will do everything she can to help you. But I think when we understand what our voice means, you can also go and be a voice for yourself and not fear retaliation. You know the information that she's explaining to you, you know the rules, you know the regulations, you know the policies, then you can stand up and advocate for yourself and help others to advocate for themselves. And so I highly encourage that if you know someone that's struggling just like you are, share the same information that Denise is sharing with you. And then so when other meetings are held, they can come out and they can share, but then also they can also attend those board meetings. It's very important that you understand your voice does matter. The board will try to silence you. They have strategic plans to silence you, and you need to be very aware. I love Klein. I'm a parent of a student enrolled in Klein High. So I do volunteer. I do everything I can, not just in Klein, but anywhere you need me, that's where I am. But it's important that you understand when your voice is attempted to be silenced. And so you have to advocate and encourage others to advocate too. That's how you make change. So that they understand it's just not isolated to one person. And I know that for a fact. And just been advocating, going out, knocking on doors, talking to people, that some of the experiences that you're experiencing is just not.
They're not isolated. It's probably other people thinking, yeah. That's
I
awesome.
also want to add document. Make yourself aware of what the grievance process and the timeline is, because they have changed the rules on that recently. They voted on it. They've also taken the culpability, or they've kind of exonerated Jenny as the CEO of the school board, and that's Dr.
And what's that? What does that mean?
So she doesn't have to know anything that's going on with the grievance process. She cannot be sued or found liable for any of the things that are going on within the district as the CEO, the superintendent of the school board.
So she's
The
protected.
school board gave her that freedom. They voted on it. And
The members,
that-
you and other people voted on that to protect her.
Yes.
I have asked to review the grievance process again, and I've been told no.
So in the grievance process, you have, and I wish there was Bumpy here, because Justin knows a little bit more about the grievance process, but you have 10 days. So it's not 15 days, 15 days from the time the incident happened, correct? Right. So if your kid doesn't tell you till day 10, and then you're mulling over what action to take or what happened because something happened at school, you don't get leniency to give grace to the other kid or give grace to the teacher or the school. You have to file within that time frame that there's a grievance. And most parents are busy in life and busy with work, and you don't know processing. Right, they're processing. Oh my gosh, is this my kid? And you're trying to wait. Like, is my kid the problem? Because as any real parent does, we know our kids are only angels so far, right? So as we're processing our kids' angelic virtues, we're also processing the other kids' not so angelic virtues. And we're looking at that and trying to process how to proceed in the best manner for the best outcome for everybody, and not just go on a witch hunt like it's perfect. So by the time you've done that, 15 days are gone and you've lost the window of opportunity. So say you do the grievance and you're not sure about the second process because they have different levels. But you're not told the process. So if they don't get back to you within the time frame and you don't follow up, scratch. You don't get any do-overs, it's dismissed. So there's a lot of things with the process that have to be educated to even understand that, which it's truly sad, because a normal parent going through their daily life and life is good. At Klein, everything is fine. And then it's fine until it's your kid. And when something happens, you don't have that ability. You've got that learning curve coming at you really fast, and you got to be able to adapt and move. So it's having these conversations ahead of time, letting people know, like, I'm really sorry that happened. Maybe you should speak to somebody and start that process. But that's also why Denise is out here to educate, and why so many of us have banded together to help inform the community and let them know, like, things aren't always roses. It's not always roses at the house. We can't even decide where to go eat dinner. And here, we argue about that. So we know things aren't always going to be peachy, and there's tough conversations that need to be had, and they're not being had. They're being swept under the rugs. Sorry, that was my 2 cents. Document.
At least 9 years. So I've been on the board for about 8 months. So 9 years prior to me getting on the board, there was not one dissenting vote on anything on the agenda. Not one. How do 7 people once a month for 9 years never disagree on anything? I got to tell you, an interesting. It's a little short story. I promise I can be going in it. But at my first board meeting, very first in December, we were celebrating the students that have very high GPAs and are in athletics and excel there also, and are like the stars of Klein. And I got to meet several of these students personally, but one of them in particular came up to me, introduced himself. He was very professional already at 17.
But anyway, I asked him, I said, so what's the plan? What is the plan? Where are you going? Right? And he said, oh, well, let me tell you. His mother's right there. And he said, first off, I'm going to Westfield. Oh, well, congratulations. I said, who sponsored you? He said, well, Wesley I did. I said, well, that's good. Too. Very nice. He said, and I'm going to go to West Point and I'm going to learn about cybersecurity and study it because then I'm going to be in the Marines for 8 years when I graduate. Okay. And when I get out of there, then I'm going to work at the White House in cybersecurity. That's where I'm going. Wow. Okay. Well, you've got a pretty cool map out. That's better. Yeah. You know, 17, 18-year-old individual. Wow. And he says to me, and I asked you a question. I said, I'm new to the board, so I may not have an answer, but shoot away. And he said, do they ever vote no? Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. That implies you've been watching board meetings or showing up.
You know something?
If I'm making the correct assumption, and he says, I watch them every month. And I have the entire time I've been in high school. And they've never voted no.
So what you're saying is that before, like you just started 8 months ago. So before everyone agreed on anything that was actually proposed or something. But since you're there, then now there's voting. And even though the majority would vote certain way, at least there's voting that should have been happening all along, right? Because we're not always going to agree on everything,
I
right?
voted no on about 4 things.
I have a question.
Yeah. Wait.
We had the bond election.
Yes.
We had the bond election. To rebuild the security. We get invoices, the raises and so forth.
Correct.
We already knew we had shortfalls when states funded, correct? We decided to rebuild all those old schools. That was on 1% vote. Was that your vote?
It was not. I was not on the but I will take no to things now. The tax rate for our debt, which is the bonds, is determined by the board of the district, and we can only go up to 50 cents of our tax rate. So we can go up 50 cents, and then that 51 cents available for operations. What we currently have is about 36 cents going to pay our debt, and the rest is going to operations. That the M&O is what we call it, maintenance and operations tax rate, is actually determined by the TEA, not by the board. We're giving her that. So if you see the tax rate decline, right? If we hold it 36 cents, the decline is coming from Austin, not from, and then we're held to it. Yeah.
Circle back to talking about why the board votes against it.
Go right ahead.
My name is Pat Huff. I'm a former principal in Klein at Clip, and then at Klein High. My privilege to be principal of those two schools. One of the reasons why they always vote against it is that they are encouraged to do that and actually trained to do that by the Texas Association of Schools. They call it a team of 8. When 7 school board members, and then the superintendent makes the 8th member. And
But she doesn't vote.
she's part of the influence.
She's part of the 80, but she does not have a vote. That's correct.
She's part of the influence of why the board is voting against it. Now, HASB has been rejected by many school districts throughout the state because they're too hands-on. They are very instrumental in getting boards to vote in the next superintendent that they approve. It is my opinion. Now, Denise, if you could take this forward.
Yep.
As a board member, we need to begin separating ourselves from tasks. And they're much too highly influential on the operations and the voting that takes place. This is statewide. This is not just in Klein.
What's our
This is a statewide problem. They are a lobbying group for not only the districts, but the legislature. And our tax money goes to pay for that. So we're actually looking for possible representation that we don't want. Okay, so I just want everybody to understand, and Denise, I would like for you as a board member to take that back, and the rest of the board members. Do we need to begin investigating, separating some things? This.
Speaking of TASB, I just want to piggyback off of what Pat said. And also, TASB, they don't want the parent, I would say like me or an employee or anyone who basically has a voice and advocates and attends board meetings and goes all the time and brings up issues or anything of that nature. They don't like that type of parent, and they're actually trying to silence parents that or employees or whatever that are like that. And speaking of TASB, whenever I was out helping with the campaign, and I'm just going to open up your eyes even more so. There was a TASB representative that was there at one of the polling sites at the Klein Multipurpose Center that was pushing for the slate, which was Todd at the time that was running. He's no longer there. Also, Prager and I forgot who else was running. And Dory Peters. They were that TASB representative was at the Klein Multipurpose Center pushing for that slate. Yes, they were. Had on a TASB shirt and everything. And I saw it. My husband saw it. He's there. He sent me photos. So
what you're saying is that they have to be neutral, but they were not because they were actually representing someone, right?
that should be. They should be in the perfect world, like they should be, but they're not. There's too much like influence and push, and whatever reason these school districts are gullible, and I don't know where the power or I don't know, politics or whatever comes in with that. But we do need to start separating ourselves from TASB. It's not a good thing.
If I want to ask one question before I leave.
Okay. Can we finish?
You want to ask something about that?
She's still going.
I want to talk about this. Yes.
Okay.
Could be the only issue that I will stand up for. I have been fighting TASB since 2014 as a part of the political organization that I am involved with. They have just published Texas Public Policy Foundation, which is a nonprofit that works on all issues across the state, have done the research, and $100 million of your tax money has been used by these lobbyists to lobby against you. Okay. They lied to the people like Denise when she goes in, or the Texas Association of School Superintendents, same thing, same deal. So Jenny goes and for her to learn how to do her job, they're training that. They then say they lied to them about what their responsibilities are, and they said, let us do it for you. Okay. So that we have to pay them to do what we should be doing ourselves. Okay. So I hope that this is a very complicated issue. It is on the special session. It's like, yes, it probably won't pass this month, but we are getting close because more people across the country, across the state are being aware. If you are not aware what's going on in Midland, okay, you can go on the Texas Public Policy Foundation website, and they had a podcast of the three people up there of what they are doing. There is an alternative now that is growing like crazy.
My fourth question is this. We were discussing on this side of 1960. How about, would you make a proposal for Sylvester Turner to be the school over here at Klein Intermediate be named after Sylvester Turner? Would you support that? Will you make that recommendation?
School.
Yeah, I
Sylvester Turner, for those that don't know, attended Klein School. And he was valedictorian when he graduated from Klein.
The first African American graduate. And,
So, no, I have no, did he attend Klein interview? You know,
It wasn't even there.
he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay.
He attended Klein and Reed.
Yeah.
But that then turned into the old clinic.
Oh, I got you.
Guys, you know,
I see.
And now it was used as the alternative center for a long time before the new alternative center. I'm not sure. Did they tear it down? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tore it down.
So Klein intermeeting is what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't touch it. I'll suggest it. Don't have better problems.
Okay, so I guess I'll move to a different topic. Just so everybody here is aware that we do have a school board election coming up this November. We've been at this for several years now and tried our hardest to get new board members elected, which ultimately, bottom line, is what needs to happen, just as Nikki said. They need to be replaced, aside from Denise. We've had years of learning, seeing how they operate and how they absolutely do not represent the community and the taxpayers. The only way to make a change is to elect new people. So we have been fighting very hard past 3 elections now, and we finally got Denise on, but it's going to be another fight this year. So we just want y'all to know as community members what you are dealing with. Really have we really need to get our voices heard to educate. So you need to tell all your friends. Same with everybody that's here. It takes people spreading the word. Otherwise, nobody knows because Klein likes to keep everything under the rug. Right? Fine. That's why they got that name. It's not fine. Yes, there are good things, but my point is it's time for the community to get out of our comfort zones and help each other get new board members elected. That's the bottom line.
So let me ask. Yeah, there are 3 seats available this year. Chris Todd moved to Florida, so he vacated his seat. Georgina Reitmeyer was placed temporarily till the election. So that's 1 seat, position 3. Then Kathy Arlano and Rob Ellis, their seats are up for election this year. So every year, it's a rotation every year. You get 3 years in your seat. All right, so I'm in year 1. So there are 3 seats, and I've had a lot of people ask me, well, what's involved? How much training do I have to do? How much time is it going to take? I mean, we can go down the list, right? So I'm not really going to share with you all of that. I'm going to share with you Denise's day. I am the treasurer of our homeowners association. So any given day, I have to supply information for houses that are for sale or deed restrictions or deposit checks or whatever's going on. Also on the board of trustees, so I do have to do some reading. I do have to do training that most of it is online. You can attend in person on some of them, and some of them you're required. I work for Hewlett Packard, and if they had their way, I would work probably 20 out of 24. Then my husband all of a sudden decided he's going to open his own business, so now I'm helping him with that also. So last week or week before that, whichever week it was, I did all 4 jobs during that week, and I want you to know I'm just about here for a living. But here's my point. If you have passion for your children in your school district, you find the time. You find the time. I can find time to go to Jenny for now. You know, it's hard, right? Actually, she and I have met for breakfast 3 times. And she and I both are early risers, and so we choose to go have coffee at about 7, which actually works out pretty well because no one else is up. But then the board meetings, of course, are every month, right? And you do have to take some training. But it is not so much that you can't fit it in, right? So if you're talking to people and they're like, well, I'm not considering that. What you can tell them is you can fit it in. You can fit it in, right? You take an hour training on Thursday night. So yes, it is. Who wants to watch it? It's never very good. So, my personal, when I say threatened, I don't mean oh, I don't like you, I'm gonna throw something at you. I'm being a death threat. A teacher gets a death threat in one of these schools, you're out, dude. You're out. One of the legislation things that passed was more discipline in the schools. It's not physical. It's not corporal punishment, but it is more time in either that we deal with right now is that we have mainstreamed a lot of children that may not need to be mainstreamed. I'm not making any judgments here, but if you can't control the classroom where he can learn his ABCs today, you don't take the 8 out of the classroom and leave the 1. You take the 1 out and you continue teaching him his ABCs. That's what needs to happen. We have some of the opposite things happening. Now, once again, I'm not operations. I'm policy. Well, how do I affect operations or policies need to support that our classrooms have no chaos that has for these children to learn? Children are hungry for this information. They want it. Once they start getting it, they just want more. But if you have a kid that's in there that's screaming and throwing chairs and doing all kinds of things because we have to just let him have his moment, then we got to find a way to prevent that. Not to mention, I don't want my child hit by sliding. Then we got
every student gets a student handbook. This is the code. The code of conduct is what every administrator should be going by in terms of holding the student accountable for the infraction that they committed. And it's very clear. Level 1, level 2, level 3, and there are level 4, which are automatic expulsions. And threatening a teacher is one of them. It's right there with a weapon. Illegal knife or handgun. All the administrators have to do is be supportive in going by the student handbook code of conduct. And they need to be supported in doing that. That comes from the very top in the school.
And the policy needs to be stated as
Right.
Question, is there any F-silent parents, former or current parents in here? No, okay.
we're out of time. Apparently, Chester, you have one more question or did I? Okay.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate everyone that's here. I will be here for a few more minutes if you just want to learn about something. Otherwise, Pat can help you if he's either if I'm registering or anything, it can lead you a little bit. You're a teacher, you can probably help also if somebody had questions and so on, but we appreciate you being here and I'll let you wrap it up. Yes. So I really appreciate all of you coming out and being so open and transparent. Thank you for your questions. They were good questions. Thank you also for the questions. And just being transparent as well. I know sometimes it's very difficult to share some things that we're going through in front of people that we don't know. But this is the setting because it gives other people the voice and it gives other people the power and the courage to also come forward. And so I really appreciate you all for listening, asking questions. And I encourage you when you see a flyer or you see an event for another meet and greet, just because you came to this one does not mean you don't come to another one. Please come and just foster those relationships with those that do attend and allow them to understand it's a safe zone. Of course, you heard about the school board. They have 3 positions available. We all know someone who's very, very passionate. If you want to be the change or you want to see the change, sometimes it takes you to step in that position and step in that role to foster that and to create that environment. So if you know someone within the Klein district that you think would be a great asset, please, by all means, encourage them to run for the school board. I asked someone in this room already, but they already told me no. But thank y'all for coming. But due to the time constraint, we do have to wrap up there. Getting ready to close for the day. But again, I appreciate you. If you want, if you want to stay abreast of event information, make sure that I have your email so that I can share that with Denise and we can keep inviting you to those things. Okay. I have a sheet up in the back if you want to go ahead and provide your email.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I know there's several ones.
I'm sorry about what happened to you. I had bad things happen to me too.
So you're a substitute?
I was a substitute for the shit was up in the Klein Forest and
You don't get
something. It's been a death threat.
I can add my name to this list.
And then what they did, I gave the kid a 1 day into the school suspension, and they told me about pulling up the class. So
Instead of actually, like, so you got on the problem.